It's the start of a new series where I had 5 seasons to win a top European trophy, but used in a club from one of the less stronger leagues. And first up, we're off to Turkey. And we need to get into Europe as fast as possible, so for this reason, we choose Galatasaray. So season 1 begins with us rightfully installed as title favourites. I don't think that will be the main problem. We've set ourselves a tricky task of winning the Champions League, because if we keep winning the league in Turkey, that's the competition we're going to be in. As a club, Galatasaray had already spent pretty big in the transfer market, including Ziyech and Batshuayi. But I brought in just 2 players on free transfers. The first was Sami Castello, who's just going to be back up for the wide areas. And the second was Rafinha, formerly of Barcelona and PSG. I see him playing out wide, potentially as a wide playmaker. Which takes me to the tactic, and it's a bit of a 4-4-2 with a little funky role on the right hand side in the wide playmaker who will float around, a volante to surge up, fullbacks to provide width and overlaps, and then we've got a great strike force of Icardi and Osimhen. We really need to take advantage of the fact we've got Osimhen for this season, because next season he goes back to Napoli. And the start of the season, it looked really good with Victor already scoring a load. So domestically, I'm really confident. Champions League, we've had to go through a qualifying path against HGK. Now we've just dismantled Sparta Prague. I'm confident in the tactic. For a season 1 squad, it's pretty good. Let's see how we do. With season 1 wrapped, as expected, we stormed the title, but it's a bit more impressive than even I thought. We only lose the 2 matches, winning 32 out of 38 and scoring 113 times, only conceding 20. So domestically, it's performed fantastically. Those are the players that started. The front 2 of Icardi, as you would probably expect, 32 goals, 24 in the league, and Osimhen, pretty similar, 34 goals, 23 in the league. Big question is, did we do it in Champions League season 1?
Are you ready?
And the answer is no. Emphatically no. Yes, despite the cracking form in the league, we were found out in the Champions League, finishing bottom of the group, and you guessed it, we lost to Aston Villa. Now let's talk the positives. The positives are, throughout the season, we were pretty spectacular. You don't get a league campaign like that, having performed badly. And as you can see from our season 1 stats, we were totally dominant. Therefore, going into season 2, I'm not going to change too much. Ziyech is leaving for Saudi, and we know Osimhen's going back to Napoli. Therefore, there's a few gaps to fill, but I am going to keep pretty much the same tactic. And we also need to get a new goalkeeper, because long-serving Muslera, he's leaving us at the age of 38. The good news is we have 28 million to spend, and there's also a few very decent players that are currently out on loan that might be able to jump into our team. Season 2 with Galatasaray, some good moves in the transfer market. We brought in 18 million and we spent 32. First in is our new goalkeeper, Wojciech Szczesny, comes in from Barcelona on a free. Sergio Gomez for a really attacking fullback for 4 million. I brought in Makoku on loan to replace Osimhen. And perhaps for some, a surprising signing, Ben Brereton Diaz, 20 million. He just does really well in FM. So going into season 2, I'm not going to change too much, but we do have Zaniolo who can play down that left-hand side. I think he'll be a really good addition. Now, we've got Wilf Zaha as well. Not sure what to do with him because he is 32, and in the Turkish league, you do have to register a maximum amount of foreign players, and we might just be tipping over the edge, so I might cash in on him, especially with that wage of £105,000 a week. Rafinha last season was good. He's 32 now, so his attributes are on the decline, but last season he was good in terms of goals and assists, and in pre-season so far, he does have 5 assists, so he's probably worth persevering with at this stage. Up front, I've got no problems with Icardi. He'll continue to be class. It's just whether or not Makoku can realise his potential and replace Osimhen. Now in pre-season he scored 5 in 5, so the signs are good. But we do have to keep an eye on these registration rules. Like I said, maximum 12 foreign players, so there is a few that are going to miss out. It's just the way it is. At the minute, Zaha does miss out, but I know this tactic does well in the league. Let's see how it goes. We haven't played a league match yet, but we've looked really good in pre-season. We start with Fenerbahce in the Super Cup, and then we've got to qualify for the Champions League again. We need to see progress this season. Season 2 comes to a close with the team chemistry pretty much perfect, and it's our second successive league title. We lost 4 matches this time, still bagged another 120 goals, only conceding 27. It's safe to say this tactic is built for Turkish football. How about the Champions League? Well, it reverts to the league phase this time, and we come in at 21st, finishing just above Juventus, Celtic and Ajax, winning 3 out of the 4 matches, including a big win against Barcelona, but we did lose the 4. PSG, Tottenham, Leipzig, and really disappointingly, to Antwerp. Into the knockout rounds we went, where we drew RB Leipzig in the playoffs. Zaniolo got us the win in the first match, but in the return game, Leipzig turned it round with a 3-1 win. We fail again in the Champions League. Right, we're in a tough spot here because we are dominating our domestic league, comfortably winning the league back-to-back. Just can't get over the hump in Europe. Now, the good thing is about Europe is we are beating some big teams. If we look into the league phase here, this Monaco game, we were pretty dominant. Tottenham was a close 1-2-1 defeat. I'm not too worried about that. And remember, we did get that win, if I can find it. There it is, at home to Barcelona, and a good performance as well. So there is promise there. It's maybe just a case of tweaking the tactic a little bit and just improving the team as much as we can. Now, Moukoko jumped into the Ziemhen role, and domestically, 20 goals in 28 matches. He stormed it, but he struggled a bit in the Champions League. In fact, it's a bit of a pattern because Zaniolo came back, 14 assists in the league, 0 in the Champions League. But Icardi continued, 33 years old, 44 goals, including 4 in the Champions League, so he's fine, he's solid. And someone who does deserve a bit more game time next season will be Brayton Diaz. He scored 13 goals largely off the bench. And Gomez, great success, 20 assists, 20. We just need to improve that Champions League form. So, big season 3 coming up. There's a few areas we need to improve. Wide midfield, Rafinha dropped off a cliff. Salah jumped in, but he's probably not Champions League level. And Moukoko, 1-year deal again, so we need to get another striker in. Despite the Champions League disappointment, the Season 2 stats show how good we were domestically again. Into Season 3, a big turnaround again in terms of transfers in and transfers out. Devastated to lose Mauro Icardi, but when Saudi come calling and offering nearly £700,000 a week, he was always going to end up there. Similar story for Wojciech Szczesny. You can't really turn down $3.5 million for a 36-year-old. And I took advantage of that situation by getting a Turkish homegrown player in Altay Bayındır in from Manchester United, Ozan Kabak, another Turkish player, in from Hoffenheim, and exploring the free transfer market, we took in Saelemaekers from Milan and Weston McKennie from Juve, and we've got an interesting role lined up for him. But what about that strike force? Because we need a brand new one. In a true Turkish signing style, we sign a veteran of European football in Alvaro Morata for 1 season hit from AC Milan, and he's going to play up front with Gabriel Barbosa. We got him for 15 million from Newcastle. Excited to see what that front two can do. Okay, I feel like we're slowly building something here. I'm happy with the defence. Gillet at right fullback is really good. Gomez is an assist machine, and the 2 centre-backs are super solid. We've got Altay in goal, who's a decent level, and those 2 central midfielders, Gabriel Sara, amazingly good attacking Segunde Volante, and Torreira is just a super solid defensive midfielder. Zaniolo, looking for a good season from him, and McKennie's going to jump into the Omega Luke special defensive winger. I'm expecting good things, because if you get a defensive midfielder like him, who wants to play a ball in midfielder, but you just slot him onto the right hand side, he's got all the attributes you need, specifically aggression, work rate, teamwork, to get up and down that right hand side. We've got an interesting front two of Morata and Barbosa. Say what you like about Morata, but he always seems to score. I think them two together might be a little secret weapon. Well then, Season 3 was interesting. That's Morata scoring against Real Madrid, twice by the way. As the progression of this team shows, as we thump Real Madrid in the league phase 3-0, and then we went to Bayern and beat them as well. In fact, the league phase was pretty spectacular as we finished in the top 8, only losing the 2 matches, away to Atletico and at home to Barca. Another great league campaign as we take the title again, a bit tighter this time, just on goals scored, 100 of them, and only losing the 2 matches. And this season we had a Turkish Cup to our collection as well. All things looking rosy, but how about the Champions League? In the round of 16, our strike force of Barbosa and Morata gets us through past Nice, and that meant the quarter-finals and a tough draw with Liverpool. However, at home, Diaz scores 2 early goals to give us a 2-0 win, and it was off to Anfield to try and protect that 2-0 win. And Saelemaekers provided Gabby goal. I had high hopes, but unfortunately Mo Salah and Liverpool had different ideas. As despite our best run yet, we succumbed to Liverpool. Close. So much better. Really unlucky. Now you might notice in the team, Brayton Diaz is playing in an inverted winger. And that's because halfway through the season, Zaniolo had his clause triggered by Fulham. Now at that point, he was flying with 10 in 20. Losing him was a massive blow. It does mean we recouped 30 million more than we spent, but it just harmed the team going forward. But to be fair, McKennie in that defensive winger, he ends with 13 goals, 9 assists. That is definitely the right role for him. And Gomez again with another 21 assists, and most importantly, 11 assists in 11 matches in the Champions League. So going into season 4, we're running out of time now, but we definitely need to get another striker. It always seems to be the strikers, but Morata's leaving, so we need someone to go up front with Gabigol. The rest of the team I'm okay with. Probably just need a little replacement for Zaniolo to rotate with Diaz. But yet again, jaw-dropping stats from the team overall. Into season 4 pre-season, and this is where we cut loose a bit in terms of transfers in, spending some of that money that we've brought in. We need to have a keen eye on Turkish talent to help fill those registration rules domestically, and Cenk Özkakar comes in from Valencia. He cost a pretty penny at 45 million. Striker-wise, I've hedged my bets and got 2 in. First is Moise Kean for 15 million, and the next, another classic Turkish-style signing. Big Romelu Lukaku comes to finish his career in the Turkish leagues. Free transfer. I've also got a snip for Julian Duranville for 5 million and Nathan from Napoli for 10. Not forgetting to back up the squad with some Turkish players. Meaning for this season, we're looking pretty strong. Lukaku and Barbosa up front should have goals aplenty. I'm going to give Diaz a good run on the left-hand side because last season, he was pretty good, you know. It did cost me 20 million, but last season, 12 goals, 28 assists. Season before that, 9 in 35. Average rating's really solid. And he's got Gomez behind him who supplies the width and all the assists. So having Diaz who can play up front as an attacking inverted winger seems to make a lot of sense. And what does give me a bit of hope, now they're only friendlies, but they are big teams. Arsenal, Newcastle, Bayern, and we are competitive in all of them. And we've started the league like we always do. And just like that, our most dominating season yet in the league. We only lose one match all season long, scoring 107 and only conceding 21. And it could have been so much better if Lukaku hadn't damaged his tendon really badly for 2 months, because in the Champions League we qualified comfortably again in 14th, only losing the 2 matches, getting a really comfortable win over Dinamo, 3-0 in the knockout playoff round. Now this led to a quarter-final up against Tottenham. I was confident going in and we got 2 goals in the home leg. Unfortunately for us, so did Tottenham. So it was 2-2 going to the second leg. Now in the second leg, Lukaku did score. 1 of 17 shots we had. Match stats were all with us, but somehow Tottenham scored 5. I am still livid at that. How do you outplay a team and get beat 5-1? How? We're getting so close. We just can't get over that hump. That's the best we've played yet. And we just couldn't get past them. McKennie, defensive winger, 15 assists in the league, had a bit of an injury. Overall, 17 assists. Another good goal scoring season for Barbosa. He might just be on the decline though, so we need to keep an eye on that. Overall though, there's not a lot wrong. We've got 1 more season at this and we need some big signings to try and get over the line. The good news is we've got 40 million to do it with. Yet again, it's going to have to be a striker because Lukaku is great. We've got to sign him for another season, which we have done. It's his injury record that's killing us. If we can keep him on the pitch, we might have a chance. 1 season to go. We're getting closer. Another hectic transfer window with 57 million going out, largely due to us trying to hit those registration criterias, and 73 million coming in. I decided to cash in on Barbosa. It was a risk because he's still pretty decent, but Saudi money came in. I'm really trying to keep the Turkish flavour, and it's handy when someone like Hakan comes available. Free transfer from Inter. Despite his advanced age, he'll be a good player for us. And I brought Kerem back from Benfica, a bit of a snip at 27 million. Grimaldo comes in to rotate with Sergio Gomez. Got 2 really good attacking fullbacks now. And I've also signed João Felix on loan. It shows the stature of the club when we can bring him in. And the reason I brought him in? You guessed it, Lukaku got another injury. 3 months this time for a hip. I bugged out the squad with some more Turkish signings to help us hit those registrations. And we've started the season very well, a spotless pre-season, and we beat rivals Trabzonspor 3-0 in the Super Cup pretty easily, and we've just completely smashed it down a 6-1 with a lot of the new players getting involved. But it's the last season for our attempt at the Champions League. Now thinking about this, when I took this challenge on, I probably should have took a team a bit lower to attack the Conference League or the Europa League. Season 5 comes to conclusion and it's our best season in the league again. We are just outrageous in the league campaign, losing only the 1 match, but this time we've scored our record 130 goals, only conceding 23. And if you look at it, we were top from day 1 to the end of the season. We also win the Turkish Cup, dismantling rivals Fenerbahce 4-0, But it's all about the Champions League, and our last attempt at it, we finished 14th place again, only losing 2 matches, away games at PSG and Roma, and some big wins at home, which led to a game against Barcelona in the playoff round. How unlucky is it to get them? But in the first game, we absolutely battered them. The game finishes 2-1, but looking at the match stats, it should have been far heavier. And as you probably saw, we were chasing a 4-0 deficit from the first game. So our campaign ends again in the knockouts. It's hard to know what to say because we've been so good. We've built such a good team domestically. Like, check out these trophy wins. That's our 5 seasons in charge of Galatasaray. We've won the league every season and we've won the treble 3 times and a double as well. We've killed it domestically. We just couldn't get over that hump, and it's really tough because as you get stronger, other teams get stronger. So you're always kind of chasing your tail to a degree. But we kept this tactic right the way through. The only changes were to this role. It went from wide playmaker to winger to defensive winger. And McKennie's the boy at that. He scored 20 goals from that position and 10 assists in the league, 22 and 12 overall. And on the other wing, you've got 17 assists coming from your inverted winger. I mean, it's a pretty good tactic, to be fair. The only changes we could possibly make is for away games in that Champions League is to drop this defensive line back a bit, play a bit more pragmatic. But as you've seen with the Barcelona game, creating that many chances against a team like Barca, we've definitely created a really good team. But despite all those domestic trophies, the 5-year challenge is a big fat failure.